Welcome everybody to a bonus episode of Adeptus Ridiculous. My name is Bricky, my co-host is DK, and we are here to bring to you Warhammer and Warhammer adjacent content to you today. But before we get into it, go ahead and check out patreon.com/adeptusridiculous in the description for many benefits, as in seeing bloopers if they happen, awesome HD posters. The last one is a Tyrion with giant tits, you know you love it. Access to our Discord, of course, as well, to chat with your fellow peeps, and so on. And also, shit, is this where I passed off to DK? DK, tell us about the book club.
Book club, we're doing Twice Dead King Reign. It's pretty great, and that might be important for today's bonus episode. We'll talk about it. And if you want some really sick merch, like Adeptus Ridiculous dice, they're black dice, gold pips, white Adeptus Ridiculous skull, Orchid8.com. Also, get some really cool, legally distinct Adeptus Ridiculous merch, like an I'm a Tank hoodie, or just our logo on a big hoodie. Yeah.
Also, don't forget, if you are part of the Imperial/Chaos Knight fan art contest, that ends at the end of February, so you still got practically a whole month to do it. But that ends then. Make sure you get your submissions in via the email in the description or on our Twitter. And yeah, cool.
Cool.
DK?
Yes.
Someone's in our walls.
Oh no. Who did we put in the walls this time?
I don't know. Let's listen closely and see if we can hear them.
No, I don't hear
Say something, Richard!
I don't know how it's alright. Help! I'm in your walls. I don't know how that goes. But yeah. Hello, my name's Richard.
His name is Richard. Richard, we have a guest today. We have an interview today. Let's go. Let's go. Richard Reed, current voice of many a Necron for the people who watch our stuff, but also I'm sure doing much other audio work in the past. But if we say the audiobook reader of Twice Dead King and Infinite Divine, I think that's where our fans will kind of click as soon as possible. How you doing, Richard?
Yeah. I'm doing very well, thank you. Yeah. How are you two?
Well, you know, it's 9 a.m., so you already commented about that before the episode.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yes, all right, yes, but I've already said how I was, so you're asking me twice as well.
But the viewers don't know how you were.
They don't know, man.
I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me on this.
Excellent. All right, now we're on the same page.
I find it hilarious that when you first came in, he was like, oh, yeah, it's like 5 a.m. for me, but boy, do I feel bad for you guys having to wake up at 8 a.m. And it's like, wait a minute.
It's 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Oh, see, okay, look, I'm a dumb American that doesn't really know time zones very well. So, yeah.
Did you not hear the British accent there, DK?
Well, yeah, but I don't know what the actual time zones are, like, because I'm stupid.
To be 5 a.m., I'd have to be in sort of the Pacific Ocean or something right now, like streaming live.
Yeah, I mean, in like Hawaii or something.
I hear the Pacific Ocean is lovely this time.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, I'm about 15 minutes away from it.
I wouldn't mind being in Hawaii right now.
You lived in Hawaii for like 5 years.
Yeah, and it's great.
Wow.
It's wonderful. You can't afford to live there though. It's so expensive.
No, yeah.
Wait, Richard, do you live in?
Yeah, sorry.
Do you live in London?
I live kind of just outside London, really.
Okay.
I've lived all over the place in the UK. I used to live in Yorkshire, but now I'm originally from a county called Essex, which is just outside London.
I'm glad you pronounced it as Yorkshire, so I no longer have to say Yorkshire, and now I know how to properly pronounce it. Excellent.
And Worcestershire, you guys always get that wrong.
Oh yes, Worcestershire.
Oh, what? No Worcester sauce? No Worcester.
Yeah.
Worcester sauce.
Hey, dude, it's like, dude, do you do like voice impressions or something? That was really good.
Yeah, that's a good accent. How'd you do that?
Yeah, maybe I've got a sort of a career in it, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
You should consider it. You know, if you haven't already, consider going into like voice work, dude. Really spot on.
Actually, that's a great Dean Kamen right there. Richard, do you know who Dean Kamen is?
I do not know. Please.
He's the inventor of the Segway.
I was going to say,
clever.
lovely segue, lovely.
Hey,
now I can tip my hat to that chap.
Tip my hat. Oh my lord!
I couldn't sound any more British, could I? Jesus.
I'm stealing that, by the way.
Yeah. You know, I was when I was at LVO, I fought a guy who came from the UK, and he had a bunch of Tyranids and Hive Guard. And I saw on the other side table he had all the Hive Guard. He's like, Yeah, a bit cringe, innit? It's just like, oh, perfect. I'm gonna have a good game today. Anyway, the dean came in there. I was actually, because we were talking about different voice work and stuff. I actually wanted to ask, because obviously right now in our fan base, all the Necron stuff, but where'd you kind of get yourself started with that, with like all the voice work and any kind of that
with
stuff?
Warhammer.
Either or. Originally to begin with, and
general.
Warhammer Past if you like.
Okay, so I originally went to drama school. Well, I've been acting since I was about 7, and I sort of went to school and everything, and it sort of, I was thinking, well, I was coming towards the end of school. What do I actually want to do afterwards? And I thought, well, what am I actually good at? Acting. So I went to university and then drama school, trained, and then at drama school I was sort of got in with the radio company, sort of the radio team there, and the director in that sort of department was very kind enough to give me a few audio drama jobs very early on, and then it sort of evolved from there. As with everything, the ball sorts of gets rolling a bit more, and we sort of go on from there. But with Warhammer, I think I've always been kind of semi-interested in Warhammer, and I played, what was that MMO back in 2008? Was it Age of Reckoning or something like that?
Maybe something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
in the late or early in the late first decade, right?
Yeah, and I played that for a while at university, and I thought I loved it, but I never painted the miniatures. I've kind of seen them from afar, and then it was Total War Warhammer, and I saw the trailers for that, and I thought, I want to get on that. That looks really cool. so I kind of dove in from there, and I started painting some orcs up, and it was all the fantasy side that I've kind of started with, because I felt 40k was just too deep. I was a bit daunted by it. But which I think is very valid, because it's extremely broad, and I think the best way is to sort of pick what you like and sort of go in from there. But yeah, then I sort of, as I said, I painted up the miniatures, and I thought, I want a piece of this action, and I was lucky enough to get an audition for the second game.
The second Total War Warhammer game.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you're in that?
Yeah, I'm Cetra in that one.
Oh shit, I didn't even know that. Wait,
Yes.
wait, Cetra? How's that spelled? Cetra.
Yes, I've never played him. Who's Cetra?
So Cetra, sorry for people who don't know, because he's actually pretty popular. So there's a faction called the Tomb Kings.
Oh, he's this fucking dude. Wait, you
yeah,
did this guy? What the fuck?
Yeah, he's basically the sort of overlord of the Tomb Kings. He's like the daddy of the Tomb Kings. Maybe like Trazin, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. But he's sort of, incredibly egotistical, and
That sounds like him, all right.
yeah, he's psychotic. But he was considered the best sort of king, if you like, of that time. And then obviously Nagash got his mitts on some dark magic, and they all became mummified. But yeah, so that's the fantasy side. But yeah, and then I kind of got in touch with the guys over at who do the books for Games Workshop, and rest is history.
The Black Library, I'm assuming you're referring.
That's
all
right, the
those
Black
kinds of boys.
Library, yeah, and because I had audio drama experience, I started doing the audio dramas first, and then as things happen, it sort of moved on from there. And I'd always wanted to do books, but at the time I was very new to books, and I was a bit daunted by them. But
They are very long, and I can imagine the amount of takes you need to do, and considering that it's like a average book's like 11 hours or something.
I'm a one-take wonder, darling. No, it's yeah.
Do you
I've been
do
called-
them in one take?
Oh my
Excuse
god,
me?
No.
the man who voices.
I'm just gonna sit down for 11 and a half hours and just bang this out.
Yeah,
Oh man,
yeah.
the man who voices Trace and called me darling. Oof, I gotta get a fan.
Woo. Yeah.
Did you? Oh my. Did you ooh woo me on our fucking podcast?
He just ooh-wooed you, yep.
Holy
The
shit,
audacity.
DK, what did you talk to him before this episode?
I had nothing to do with this.
Did you corrupt him?
This is not me. I didn't.
You're
So,
you're a bastard.
So yeah, so it was just kind of, it just sort of went from there. But you know, and as I said before, I had no real experience with the 40k universe, and it's actually been a really amazing experience to read the books and almost learn as I go along in some ways. And obviously I do some codex like reading and on like and background, like sort of loose background lore, but just especially with Mephiston, I had no idea about really who Mephiston was.
Oh, he's a Chad. Yeah. He's
Yeah,
dope.
and then I started reading them, and I was like, damn, he's actually pretty badass. And the same with the
Mephiston's a
Necrons.
character. Yeah, I was just about to say the going from Cetra to the Necron seems like a completely natural evolution, considering the kind of the yin and yang of the fantasy and the 40k world.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah, Necrons are basically sci-fi Tomb Kings. Well, that's just my interpretation of it anyway. But yeah,
GW likes to do that. They have very similarities.
It makes sense though, and it makes total sense. Yeah, so that was kind of almost like a starting block for the Necron books, and then it obviously went from there.
Was because I know we first heard of you when we read the Infinite Divine, because that was kind of like it was kind of hot. It was hot off the presses at the time, and everyone was
Yeah, it was
thinking
very popular.
yeah, super popular. Everyone liked Trazen beforehand, but then you finally got a really good Necron book that was their new lore, not their old like Terminator lore. Was that your first Necron role, or
Yes, I think it was. Yeah.
that was the
I
first
think
one?
because-
It wasn't your first audiobook though.
No. It was my first Necron sort of involvement, and even I think I could be wrong. You know, your memory sort of blends things together, but I think that was almost fresh lore for me right off the bat, because I obviously knew of them, but I didn't know the depths of their sort of lore. So I think which might explain a lot. It might not, but because I think before they'd been obviously like sort of like, I am a Necron, I do this, I do that, and I thought for the first book, for Infinite and Divine especially, you can't do characters, especially these big characters, as this sort of monotonous droning I am a robot voice. It would just be incredibly boring. So I kind of wanted to give them a bit of life, and the story lent itself to that. And so I had this idea that the main characters had character to them, and the subordinates were a bit more machine-like, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, which really works well lore-wise too, because Necron's biotransference, they get like the much more pristine body and mental faculties if they're like high lords and overlords, whereas like a lowly warrior is beep boop bop.
Well, that kind of just works up in society, really. Everybody remembers the sort of rich nobility, if you will, and the normal
The commoners
people.
get lumped in as like
Li-
these
yeah.
drones, right?
And that's and that's today, and it's always been forever.
I mean, there was that fantastic part in Twice Dead King Ruin, where they were talking about them in the biotransference lines, and all the peasants were just in like piles on the sides.
They were in sick carts.
Yeah, and I mean it didn't have, it wasn't necessarily subtle, but it didn't have to be. It made its point very clear.
Yeah, and you can just imagine the sort of quality that they were kind of given. Maybe they were given lesser quality materials during their biotransference anyway, so which could sort of render their brain activity inert. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just sort of going off on my own tangent.
Who knows? Guy who literally reads the books. Who knows?
Who knows? I have no idea.
Dude, I just read them.
So how does one of these recording sessions go? Like, how much information do they give you? Are they like, yep, here's the book, read it, make the characters as cool or whatever as you want? Or, because they've got to give you, like, some direction, like, oh, Trazen should sound a little like this, Orkin should sound like this, Oltic should do this, and, yeah, like,
Well,
how's that process go?
I think the good thing, the thing that I love about working with GW Games Workshop is they semi let you do what you want. They semi let you interpret, because I'm the actor, and they allow the actor to interpret the text in any way they want to. I mean, people have played Mephiston before me and will do after me. Yeah, every actor will have their own interpretation of how he sounds. So I think in some books he's sort of given a sort of I am Mephiston, and I was a bit like I'm Mephiston sort of thing. So it's really up to interpretation, which is, I mean, with the sessions they obviously give you lore if it's a new faction or universe, and they give you like a little breakdown. But for the most part, I mean, earlier on they gave you more information, and I needed it. But as time progresses and you get more familiar, I just sort of crack on with it, and if I see,
Right.
and I just write up what I think X sounds like, and take it to the directors, and they think yay or nay.
Do you have a lot of talk with the author? For example, like Nate Crowley for the Twice Dead.
Zero.
Zero, really?
Maybe
Interesting.
Yeah. I think you very, very rarely have discussions with the author, because sometimes, I mean, especially in audio dramas, sometimes having the author there, it would just I can't talk about Warhammer in this respect because I don't know their policy on it. But usually when you have an author in the room with you, it just takes 10 times longer.
Kind of over. I don't want to say overcomplicate it, but like they have a specific vision, and if you divert from it even a little bit, it maybe gets a little too.
And that's in no way to criticize the author's work, because they do absolutely fantastic work. It's just sometimes, instead of you've got a 12, 13-hour book that you've got to crack on with, and just to have a sort of discussions about the sort of sound of X character versus Y, it would just take ages. So you have to be like, okay, this guy sounds like this. Okay, yeah, that works. Let's go for it.
Yeah,
I think, and I think it's, and I think also, I think probably mainly as to say, I don't know, I don't organize these sorts of things, but I would assume it's mainly just logistics as well. We all live all over the country. Some people live abroad as well, so it just doesn't really work. to have people fly. Although I think for Realmslayer we had David in. So sometimes they come in for the audio.
It's interesting because the I mean I assume there'd be like a tiny bit where it's like, hey, Mentep is a crypt tech. Should he sound old or does he sound different? Like small things like that.
Yeah. I think what happens sometimes is the authors, I don't know, but the authors may or may not give information to the engineers and directors.
Yeah. I was going to say there's probably like directors and engineers that they trust, that they're like, yeah, they kind of know my work and they know how to they know what to tell the people to sound like. And
well, I'm sure they have discussions, but as with the authors, but as the actor, I don't have I don't talk to the writers much, if at all.
How's work been with COVID? Like because that's gotta be rough in your industry. Like I keep seeing voice actors being like, yeah, I had to build my own voice booth because this is just some bullshit, and make my own little studio, and like how you doing? You all right?
I'm really no. It's fine. It's actually no. It's to be honest, I had a little home setup thing going on before COVID anyway. So for me, it's a sort of business as usual. And the thing with the books as well, you can go into studios or you can do record from home. They're so flexible. I mean, so I've recorded a couple from home and mostly in studios. So in terms of maybe more people entering the voiceover realm, the industry, probably a bit more competitive. But overall, it seems to be pretty much okay.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
I was kind of curious about that too, because I heard like a lot of people had to put down exorbitant amounts of money to get a home studio set up properly. Because normally people who live in like LA or something, they just travel to easy studio.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people have, but I mean, I wasn't one of them. Because I'd already done it.
I kind of thought that same thing when lockdown happened. I was like, damn, my work is not compromised in any way, but shit, I kind of wanted a day off. I've literally nothing has changed now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's been. I think a lot of industries are struggling, perhaps, or finding ways to go around enabling sort of home recordings. But I think for the most part, for me, it's I just do the project either way or any way.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's been good. It's been fine. Yeah, it's been fine.
Good. Because that was always a question I think what we both had is like, how does that? Because for our industry, nothing fucking changes.
Nothing.
Right.
Yeah, people are like, are you okay during COVID? I'm like, it's literally the exact same.
We just got to keep isolated. But I think I'm in the similar position as you guys maybe, because it's business as normal, but the parameters are slightly different. And obviously, I don't know. I've sensed like there's been there's obviously a lot of tension, but there's sort of maybe more flexibility than before in some areas as well. People are a bit more sort of flexible, I guess.
Yeah, kind of have to become more flexible too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
A lot of places have realized that they don't need employees in every single day, and the volume of like, hey, this meeting could have been an email, I think has finally been realized a little bit more.
Yeah. I think the important thing is though that obviously people are still employed,
Yes.
because I wouldn't want people, bosses or whatever, to think, well, we've gone without this, so why don't we just get rid of it entirely?
A lot of people out here in America are making their damn goal to not be employed anymore. And honestly,
I heard about that.
Yeah, good.
Show that employer who's boss.
Chipotle will piss on your grave if they could. So honestly, I'm fine with it.
Oh really? Oh okay.
Well,
there goes the Chipotle sponsorship.
Yeah, there it goes. Just
God damn it.
Coming right
corporate
up.
America. That whole thing. A lot of the whole anti-work movement's kind of been rising up a bit, and I think COVID really kind of nailed that last nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
We're like, wow, these people do not give a shit about you.
Yeah,
Nope.
You're right. Actually, there has been a sort of, whereas these sort of billionaires perhaps have gone under the radar slightly, there's a lot more criticism of them now, and people just straight up leaving these, as you say, these jobs. I didn't know Chipotle was that bad though.
Oh no, I just use Chipotle as an example, like a common restaurant, McDonald's, whatever the hell.
Burger King,
yeah. Though I mean, like, remember that when COVID first hit, and like every celebrity in the world was like, "We're all in this together," as they're live streaming from like their 40 mil house in LA Hills, and I'm like, oh my god. Now, so speaking of rich assholes, let's talk Necrons.
Let's go.
Let's go. So I mean, obviously, me and DK here, we're massive fucking Necron fans.
Oh, yeah.
Necron supremacy, yeah.
We honestly think that the lore for them has been handled probably the best out of any of the factions lately, because they had their little redux going from Beat Boop to nobles, and then the Twice Dead series really added even more to that with like the idea that the nobles they're not unthinking, unfeeling robots. They are people trapped in robot body kind of concepts.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, of course. Yeah. Well, they have a loose soul, I guess. Well, they do and they don't they? I guess.
Yeah.
I guess they literally don't have a soul, but
Yeah.
they have like the motion still there that's kind of like creeping on them.
Yeah, that dysphrac is horrifying, by the
Oh
way.
my god.
Yeah.
We haven't finished Rain yet, so we gotta be careful on that one.
yeah.
But yeah, the I have no mouth and I'm a scream kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So considering that you did not Nagash, etc.
Etc. How dare you?
I don't do the fantasy
Fake
thing
fan
well.
confirmed.
I don't do the fantasy thing.
Nagash is Cetra's absolute peak enemy. He cannot ever
Oh, really?
make a mistake.
Wow.
Yeah. Like,
Really
oh.
fucked up,
absolute-
Ricky.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am posting cringe. I apologize.
Oh.
Though, actually, okay. Side note: which faction in fantasy is the bone IRS that takes your bones?
Oh. Well, I think it's Catacross. It's
Bone
the
Reapers.
Bone Reapers. That's it.
Okay, I was told about the bone IRS a bit ago, and I kind of want to make some bone IRS.
Yeah.
I only know the haunts from fantasy, so I can't really. I can't help you.
I guess it's a bunch of like skeletons that come to a town. They're like, "You owe us this many bones," and if you say
Yeah.
no, they're like, "We're gonna take your bones."
I think there was this loose lore thing where the ogres were sort of getting bones for them because obviously they eat loads, and then they were like, not anymore, and they sort of had an uprising, and then a fight. I think I might have just made that up right now, but
It sounds
good.
convincing. It's fine.
We don't
Whatever.
do Sigmar. We believe you.
The comments
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
actually, but who reads those,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
So that was actually the question. Is obviously for Warhammer stuff, you have a natural advantage of being a British man, because that's a very large majority of the voice acting. But
It helps. Yeah.
you did this Egyptian kind of accent a lot now. How did you get that going?
Well, I am not obviously Egyptian in any way, and I didn't want to make a kind of an attempt at that in any particular way. But what I wanted, because there's obviously a kind of almost Egyptian-ish iconography with the Necrons, I kind of just wanted to give an accent that was different, pretty much,
Kind of loose.
yeah, very very loose, sort of Mediterranean maybe. Like it could be anywhere. Like I wasn't, because they're not from Greece, they're not from Egypt, they're from the stars. They're in it's a made up sort of universe really. But I just obviously there's a lot of space marines. I'm like, I'm a space marine and all that sort of thing. and I didn't want another kind of hello, I'm a Necron. It was just, I know that's been done before quite a lot of times, and with this sort of new take on it, I wanted to give it a different flavor and just to have a bit more interesting.
It needs more
tones, I
pizzazz than an
Yeah.
ultramarine. I would agree.
Yeah. And also, as I said before, there were, Necrons have been like, I am a Necron, and it's just a bit boring, really. I just
on
wanted
the
to give it a
nose,
bit more
too.
yeah, and I wanted to give it more character and flavor, really.
Yeah. And it has like this air of nobility to it that they kind of need, like especially like the
Absolutely,
named
yeah.
Necron characters, like they
Yeah.
need that like differential nobility air to them. Yeah.
It has
Unless
this sense of
you're,
regality.
Unless you're fucking oh god, what the hell is his name?
Bricky messing up names again. This
Dude, the Necron names are impossible. Okay, they all end in heck. What's the hammer dude who always speaks in the third person?
Oh, Zoltanek.
Zoltanek. Unless you're
Oh, he's
Zoltanek,
great.
he's always where he has no ability, but he sounds kind of like a doofus.
Yeah, he's
or
cool.
Neth, who sounds like
Yeah.
he's just one tick away from a blue screen of death.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Xbox 360 red ring. That's what happens on his like core flux when he dies. He just like goes beep beep beep.
But that's what I like doing about that's what I love about these books as well. You sort of you really become attached to certain characters, and I genuinely felt kind of a bit sad after the end of the second. I won't give anything away, but I've just felt sad that it was over. I'd had a really good time, and it's very like when I struggle sometimes to remember back on points in the books, because when I read them, I read them very much in the moment, and it's almost like a sort of a dream, if you will, and bits are picked out here and there. But sometimes, you know, you give it very much all in the moment. And as I said, when the last one sort of wrapped up, I was like, oh, oh man,
I want another one.
Yeah. Come on, Nate.
Come on. I'm about I think halfway through. They're currently fucking around with the trebuchet. Which is quite enjoyable. But I know DK's farther than I am currently.
A little bit, yeah. If I told you where I was specifically, it would spoil a little bit for you, Bricky. So
gotcha. I will.
I won't, you know.
We'll wait. Though I must admit, a personal favorite character of the book so far is absolutely Lysaikor. He's got such a I don't know what it is about the voice you give him, but he sounds like such a conniving dickhead.
Lysaikor,
exactly.
Right.
Well, he is a conniving dick. That's exactly
well,
what he
it's
is.
impressive to have the conniving dickness come out in vocals so well, is what I mean.
Well, yeah. I don't know what
job
that says
well
about
done.
Me. Yeah.
Excellent. Good job,
You
Rick. You're a
portray
real
a conniving
dick.
dickhead real well,
Asshole.
real spot on, buddy.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't
No
even
acting
try
required.
for that voice though. What the hell?
Yeah,
I
that's my natural voice.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Rich, have you ever VA'd orcs in the past?
Yeah, I've done a couple. Yeah.
Oh, DK knows where this is going.
We did. Well, I did. I've done a few orcs in audio dramas, and I did a short story, orc short story, which was really fun.
We DK randomly during one of our orc episodes just threw out a random impression, and for some reason he does a really goddamn good job.
Oh wow!
It's because
okay.
I read Brutal Cunning and I just tried to like mimic the person that did that, and apparently people think it sounds very orcish, but I specifically don't want to do it for you because you're from the UK, and I feel like anybody from the UK is just gonna be like, wow, what a tool.
Bro, we've literally lost all of our
absolute-
Italian fans already, okay? So it just doesn't matter.
What a limey bastard this guy is.
I won't.
Yeah,
I won't ever force anybody to do an accent.
I will.
That's one of the most cringe things. Like they say, "Oh, you're a voice actor. Go on, give us a voice." And you're like, oh, "Okay."
Give us a voice.
That's me.
Yeah, that's an awesome.
Give us a voice in it.
Hey, there we go. Yay, good job, DK.
Thanks.
Yay!
Yeah.
See, that's what you got to do. You got to warm them up and make them think
Yeah.
they're not going to do anything, and bam, and they do a voice.
Yeah, you gotta tickle their balls a little bit. That's right.
That's
yeah.
right.
No, I have been a professional ball tickler for years now, DK. So I think we're we're solid.
I don't.
That's nice to know.
I'm questioning everything we've ever done for the last year and a half now.
What's wrong, DK? What are you, racist?
No, I just I just don't like you.
We said that earlier.
We have, yeah.
It's like, what's wrong, DK? You don't want to tickle my balls? What are you, anti-Semitic?
I just don't like you.
Just throws out off and just
Jesus
I
Christ.
just hate you.
I just really hate you. It has nothing to do with what you stand for.
So what the fuck were we talking about? Oh yeah, crons and shit. Yeah. I mean, we haven't finished Reign yet, but it seems to appear that there's a good chance there will be a third one.
I hope so.
Yeah, just from like how people have told me it ends very loosely and can, because the first one ended at a pretty hefty cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But the second one is very I've been told ends also not quite as a cliffhanger, but there's still plenty to go. And so I'm curious about the third one, but for the first two Twice Dead King books that you can tell us so far, do you have a part that you really particularly enjoyed voice acting? Any particular part where you're like, this part was dope. I like doing this.
Well, it's funny. Sometimes when you read a book, when you physically read it in the studio, you think, oh man, that I could have done that bit a little bit better. And so there was that bit where I think it's Jaciras and Altix. He's using his memory, and that they're sort of sparring. No, they're looking at a lineup of warriors. And,
way in the beginning, I think. Yeah,
right at the beginning. And as I said, I thought, when I did that chapter, I was like, it was okay. I could have done that maybe a bit better. I don't know. But when I listened back to it, I thought, that's actually really lovely and atmospheric. And I think it was the atmosphere that I loved in that scene. I could really just picture it in my mind's eye. Anything that I can picture really nicely in my mind's eye is a sort of a favorite. But that's so in that one, and obviously there's it's about giving. I don't want to give things away, but there's a very touching scene with Jaciras and Altix, and I think just seeing sort of the Imperium from another perspective is always lovely, because you get to see that they're not sort of heroic in some ways. They're just as brutal.
No, the Twice Dead book, Rain, I was telling DK when we did our book club of it, it is arguably the most frightening I've ever seen the Imperium.
Yeah.
Just like them going through the stars, and then it kind of reveals the fleet of ships chasing down the orcs. It's like, oh my god.
I think Nate did a short story as well, and it was almost, I think it's from the perspective, from sort of a crew member of one of these vessels.
like a penal legion or something like that.
Yeah, and it sort of describes, it's like almost from his first person, and it describes the atmosphere of the ship, and it's a really brutal sort of existence. And then when it sort of comes on from a different angle, so it's almost like he's so fanatical that he's like, oh, this is the best, we're doing a good thing. And it's like, it's almost like, that Starship Troopers bit, and they land on the planet and his friends just get vaporized by sort of Gauss like beams, and and it's just the horror that he can sense. So so both sides are equally brutal. There's no.
The Necrons aren't great people either.
No,
there really aren't any great people in 40k in general. So it's just varying shades of gray, really.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they sacrificed their own people to become metal, soulless beings. I wouldn't exactly call them the greatest, but
no, really. They're also really racist. They're running around, be like, "Oh, the unclean are touching me." Ew.
Humans, Ew.
There's that part in the beginning of the first book where he's just like shanking that orc, and he's like, "Oh, you stupid little race!" Stab, 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 stab.
Yeah, and then he's sort of, they have all these little scarabs that clean their sort of carapaces and things like that, and he was just like, they almost have that sort of, they want to vomit when they see flesh and things like that. So
yep.
Yeah, I was actually a little disappointed that, well, I don't know, only halfway through Reign so far, but I didn't get any VA work or anything of the or any quotes from the Blood Angels or anything in the first book, because I would have liked to hear a couple like heroic for the Emperor charges or something, just to kind of I know they wouldn't really, I guess they could translate it or whatever, but it was very much just an amalgamation force, it's just a force as opposed to anything else.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of feels like that's how the Imperium's being portrayed, is just this massive it's just like this swarm. It doesn't have any real individuality to it, so you don't want to give them a voice, because then that paints an individual person where it's really, they're just a fucking swarm of endless, these guys are prehistoric, but there's 30 billion of them. Yeah.
It almost treats them like Tyranids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
they are parasitic in their own way.
Someone had a funny quote where it's like, why do Eldar, why are they having such a hard time against humans when they see them as such like inferior beings? And it's like, well, for the same reason you'd be terrified if a silverback gorilla blows through your wall with a shotgun, waving it around in full plate armor.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a little spooky at times. Actually, I mentioned that Jaceres part. I remember. I think I know you're talking about the part near the end. The immortals lighting up is like the best part of the whole fucking book. It's so good.
Yep. When you realize what Jaceres was actually doing that whole time, and he wasn't just mindlessly cleaning them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some really darn good parts of that book. But it's funny you mentioned that short story about the Penal Legion guy, because out of curiosity, did you ever read / listen to any of the Night Lord trilogy books?
No, but that's on my list. I've heard they were very, very good.
Put it to the top of your list, you son of a bitch. I fucking love those books.
Top of the list, yep.
Top of the list. Really there's a great moment in the second book, really early on, where there's a character named Maruk, and he's like one of the factory workers in some Imperial piece of crap planet, and they have this. It's just that really short period of time where he writes him about him going back from work with his ears ringing and legs hurting after a 15-hour shift, and it's like only 7 more years and I can finally buy a ticket off this rock.
Yeah.
Just that kind of like awful living condition of the Imperium, and it reminds me of what you mentioned with the Penal Legion kind of. They're a little bit more fanatic.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of like anything that has like the blood of the workers kind of vibe to it is just really interesting when you are trying to portray these sort of Space Marines who are, knightly and regal and, superhuman, juxtaposed with the sort of the grime of getting them to that state. Do you know what I mean? By funding these ships and everything like that, their weapons, etc.
Yeah, they're very. It's interesting to see just to the extent they can. The extent that the fanaticism, devotion of like a regular soldier, whereas the Space Marines, despite being so knightly and everything, are also really huge hypocrites.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the Imperium, right?
Welcome to the Imperium, yeah.
That's kind of their motto. We're hypocrites. Fuck you. Like,
I was thinking. I just keep thinking about because one of my favorite factions is Sisters of Battle, and just the disconnect.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Like they're just fucking insane.
They so really are.
It's so
They're
fun
such insane
though.
fanaticals, yeah.
You should check out Our Martyred Lady.
I have read that one.
Have you listened? Yeah,
or listened to it. Sorry,
listen to it. Yeah, audio drama. That's if you like Battle Sisters, I think you'll like that one. Well,
that one started off like 1.5 million Celestine Greyfax fan fictions, and God bless them.
There was because
you're doing God's work.
So I play Diasis, the sort of evil pope, if you like. And there's a scene in that.
You play Oh yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if Diasis was his name, but the Ecclesiarch.
The Ecclesiarch, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where there's like an assassination attempt, and Celestine basically rescues him and sweeps him up. And I love these visions of this sort of horrible, like wrinkly, skinny, sort of pope just going, ew, flying through the air. Being
grabbed him and flew him high in the air above the crowd.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember that. That was pretty early on in the book.
That's right. Yeah.
That was fucking funny. Yeah. I try to remember his name, like Decius or whatever it was. I remember that because that was actually a pretty big development in the lore of the Imperium. Was that book or that short story? Because I forget his name, but yeah, because he was trying to repeal the decree passive.
That's right.
Is what it was called.
Yeah, he was trying to get basically his own army that wasn't just Battle Sisters.
Yeah, he was trying to do what Doge
Van Dyer.
what Doge Van Dyer just tried to do.
I love that we've corrupted you and you can't say Doge Van Dyer anymore.
I can't do it anymore, man. I
love
can't.
it.
It's only Doge Van Dyer. Richard, are you familiar with that meme at all?
No, I'm not. No.
Oh, thank Christ. For some reason, we kept on turning Doge or... Gauche. I got it right that time. Gauche Van Dyer into a dog.
Because they're so close. The name is so close that it's an easy translation.
Yeah, I think he definitely would be into crypto. So.
the character development.
Goj Van Dyer would totally be into crypto and NFTs. Yeah.
And
He,
NFTs for sure.
He
sure.
For the longest time we were talking about how Doge Van Dyer would just the Sisters of Battle be forced to fight barefoot. This is for the good of the Imperium, and now I'm thinking about he's gonna start taking pictures and minting them for NFTs.
NFT Battle Sisters feet pics.
Yeah.
Yep.
Without
Way to go,
1%.
Goj. You've ruined the galaxy.
What's
One
this?
More time.
CEO of Ubisoft, Goj Van? Wait, the fuck?
Jesus Christ.
Oh man. DK, did you have any more questions you want to ask your man?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Can you, Richard? Can you call DK a sussy baka in a Necron? No, I'm kidding. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Really stutter it like Neth if you could.
Was
No,
it Sussy Bucko? Yeah. There you go.
My day has been made. Thank you.
My day has been ruined.
The duality of man. One person
Yeah.
loves being called Sussy Baka, the other one rolls into an early grave.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this is a good time. Thanks so much for coming by. Do you have anything
for
for
having
us that you'd like to ask us, or?
No.
No, get me the hell out of here.
Never talking to you idiots
No, I
again.
mean,
This is...
so you say you're Necron fans, but what other sort of is it mainly Necron? Do you have Necron armies?
I do. I have a
Okay.
Necron army. I got Zarek. I got Luminor Zeraz. I don't have Trazen or Orokin because their models are trash.
Yeah, they, need to, they should do new ones. They definitely.
I think they might actually be redoing Orokin. They have one of those rumor engines, and they said something about how it's gonna be divine, and I'm like,
I am a little shocked that they haven't updated Trazen's model. Like, he's so popular. Everybody loves him and his Pokeballs that, like,
He's the
how...
ultimate Pokemon, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, he's the Pokemon master. He's Ash Ketchum. Like, how has he not gotten some crazy, gigantic, updated model? How is that a thing?
the ending of Infinite Divine is like the most fan servicey ending, but it's so fucking good that I just can't even be upset about it with the fucking Pokeballs.
He has a shard of a Catan, doesn't he now? Like,
Is
a
he not?
legit shard, right?
He has a Shard of the Deceiver in his
OP.
vault
That's
now.
crazy.
Yeah, that's a little sus. Not gonna lie.
What would you say your both of your favorite bits from Infinite the Divine would be?
Ooh, you want to go first, DK, or me?
The window. I love when Trazen is looking at the window that they accidentally devoted to the Necrons.
Oh
he's
yeah.
like, do you have a window, Orokin?
Yeah. That whole scene's really nice. I like that. Yeah.
The mistranslation of history, and the Imperium had to
Yeah.
come in and be like, "That's not Necrons. That was us. I
That
swear."
was the Silver Skull Space
Yeah,
Marine
the Silver
chapter.
Skull Space Marine. Yeah, that was
That's
us.
right. Yeah, it looks suspiciously like us. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a tie. Either the part when they're watching the opera play, and they're talking
Yep.
about whether they would actually want their souls back.
Yeah.
That has a really good emotional depth. And but I think my favorite might be when he's chatting up the librarian he's had in service for like 80 years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They are
That was
both.
deep.
They're both my favorites. Those two scenes.
It's just the sheer like weight of time that just doesn't exist for these people.
Yeah.
You know, really fascinating.
There was a real tragedy to that poor old man, you know, he was like, oh, hello, and then you know, sort of Trazen's like really annoyed, and he's like, I have to retire now, and he's like, what? Why? You know, and it just
He
that-
doesn't
it was-
understand.
Yeah, he's like, what? Well, you have to. Oh God, it's so inconvenient that you have to die, this sort of thing, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
My bones are breaking.
yeah. It was
But
very
he
good. I
did
love
make
that scene.
something weird. He was like, yeah, you know, my kids are in the Scola. They're going to good schools. You know, just
Yeah.
like simple shit.
Yeah.
I
really
do like
humanized.
that it's actually canon that the Necrons have like solid distortion fields where they can pretend like they're human.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
curious. That could go for some pretty good little possibilities for later material where they're like hiding in an Imperial whatever and kind of
Yeah,
like
Imagine
just
a
watching.
sort of flesh tearers, but with that sort of cloaking device on them, so they kind of look half human anyway. They got like bits of skin, and that just goes full Terminator.
Oh boy, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of skin being
Not flesh tearers,
thrown around in the last couple of Twice Dead books. So
That goddamn curse, man.
that actually made me want to buy a Seraptic from the first book.
Yeah.
Those things are fucking huge.
Yeah, I haven't got any Necrons, because I obviously paint fantasy stuff, but I'm really tempted to get some.
Do
Necrons.
it. You know you want
Come
to.
on, you gotta. I was actually gonna commission a 3D artist to do an Ultix figure, and then have like 5 little mini like circles around him that act as his submines that are like little tokens you can use for power-ups.
Yeah, they were cool. I like those submines. They were really tricky. If you got to talk about recording, they were really hard to sort of come
Differentiate?
Differentiate. Yeah,
Yeah,
really
5
tricky.
separate minds.
Yeah. So in the end, we just sort of came down to more sort of like personalities rather than vocal tones so much. But yeah, it was like, oh no, 5 subminds in one guy's head. Oh god, that's supposed to sound like him, but you also have to almost like differentiate. Oh dear. But yeah, I think we did okay.
I would say so. I'd say you did all right.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We have made so many Kron fans from these last 2 books, my dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh sweet.
Yeah, oh yeah. Like I think me and DK are at the forefront of Necrons are better than everything else. Suck our ass.
Yeah,
I don't know if we're at the forefront, but
We
a loud voice.
Literally every time someone says Necrons, we scream Necron supremacy like sheep.
That's true. I guess we do, don't we?
We have made more episodes on Necrons than any other faction, with the exception of like if you just combine Space Marines in general.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Yeah,
I'm unbiased, but I do, you know, I think what they've done by giving them character and breathing life into these metallic, soulless bodies has been really interesting, and you know, it's been well worth it. It's been fantastic.
It is most definitely breathed a lot of life into the characters, and I like the people trapped in robot bodies idea that the nobles have as opposed to the old stuff. So good shit.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Sorry, I'll just say quickly. I think back when sort of maybe 3 years ago, I was saying, oh, you know, Necrons, they don't really have a lot of love, do they? Are there some really good Necron books? And I think the director was just like, you wait and see. And then he's just like, yeah, have this, bang. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do this one.
I guess I'll do this. This is
Yeah.
And now you're the voice of Trace the Infinite, the most popular Necron character in the thing. Let's go.
Yep.
But as I say, what's great about working with Warhammer and GW is that somebody else will voice him, no doubt. And they will do just a good a job. So it's really like, I love and it sort of every new actor gives a different flavor to the character.
Yeah, no, it's really nice, and it also adds a little bit of like personal preference to it. I always think Warhammer's all like Star Wars, where some things are really good, some things aren't that good, and you can kind of pick and choose what you want.
Yeah.
So it's great. Anyway, man, Richard, you were like, we'll only be there for 30 minutes. I told you we would go longer. I told you we'd start talking about random bullshit.
When we go off the rails, it never lasts 30 minutes. That's
Hey, Richard, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, it was
thanks for asking me. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure, like recording these books. So long may it continue. Hopefully, touch wood.
Yes, please keep it up. We need more.
Yes, and despite it being good for many people to get work, please do voice the 3rd Twice Dead book, because it would be very jarring to have someone else.
Wow,
or if they could just let you voice all of the Necron books, I'd be fine with that too.
Forever.
You know what, Richard? I want you to be the sole VA of all Black Library content. I want you voicing the men. I want you voicing the women. I want you voicing the Tyranids.
I don't know if he has enough time in the day for that, Bricky.
That's not what matters. Get the big bucks, baby. It's about the money.
I think Keeble, Longworth, and John Banks would be very unimpressed, and Emma Gregory as well. That'd be Very
Jonathan
unimpressed.
Keeble is a very, very good VA.
He was basically, sorry, I know we'll wrap up soon. He was basically my inspiration, if you will, into getting into books and voice acting in general. He was one of the I listened to like a lot of books and I was like, this narrator, he's damn good. And then it would just be Keeble all the time. And I was like, okay, he's pretty good.
You know what? If we ever have Keeble on, we'll make sure to tell him everything you said and make you feel very embarrassed.
Oh, he knows it.
Okay, good. Good.
I just wrote them a love letter. They know.
Yeah, whenever I see him, I fanboy. And we're all very British, and we're like, oh yes, well, yes, it's very good. Yeah, yes, move along. So.
Move along.
It's very British indeed. Jeez.
All right, Shai's gonna
cheers.
have to edit all this. We gotta cut it off. All right.
Okay, fine.
But real quick, Richard, shout out your stuff, your socials, all that stuff. Get yourself out there.
Oh yeah, so if you want to follow me, I usually only use Twitter really, so it's at Richard Reed VO. And I think, let me just check. Oh,
Let me check my Twitter.
Yeah,
Is this my username?
At Richard Reed VO on
Bam.
Twitter.
There it is. And then,
There
of
it
course, and then under the same name, I'm assuming for like if you're going on Audible and you're looking up like the VA.
Audible, definitely, yeah. Yeah, you can find other bits and pieces that I've narrated.
Awesome. All right, now
Thank you
Richard,
for
have you seen Biken's boobs?
Oh my god.
No. What do I want to?
We already know the smell